Hi, and welcome to your Urban Connection. Remember, folks, this is the channel that is often imitated, but is never duplicated. And one of the reasons for that is because we talk about things here that others refuse to talk about. And tonight, I want to command your attention for this entire program, because I'm going to talk about something tonight, ladies and gentlemen, that should be of interest to each and every one of you. And I just want to start off by saying this story involves one of the worst cases of violence against Black people in United States history. And today, the Oklahoma Supreme Court chose to dismiss a lawsuit involving the mob massacre in 1921 that occurred in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, this massacre occurred in a district that was called Greenwood. It was one of the most famous, most successful business districts for Black people in the United States. And in that massacre that occurred in 1921, there are there were three initially, three people filed a lawsuit against the city of Tulsa regarding the results of 300 people losing their lives in Tulsa. This successful business district known as Greenwood left in ruins, and all the while, the city nor the insurance companies dared to compensate any of the victims for their loss of loved ones, loss of material possessions, loss of businesses, loss of homes, none of that. Now, two of those victims are still alive today. And as you can imagine, both of them are over 100 years of age. Yeah, in my opinion, this should never, ever have made it to a lawsuit. And I'm going to tell you why. This case is known all over, you might say, the world, certainly the United States. It was known and is known in Tulsa, in the state of Oklahoma, that this occurred. And not only did it occur, we had in 2020 three living survivors. These are direct survivors of this mob violent massacre. So, in all actuality, if it were not for racism, if it were not for such hatred of Black people, the city of Tulsa would have, without the need for a lawsuit being filed, they would have admitted to the fact that they were indebted to these survivors and any others that might come forward to make things right without the need of a lawsuit. Because the money that you paid for attorney fees could have been utilized to pay off these survivors. Now, like I said, these are direct survivors. Now, this is the same Oklahoma that today, if you can show that you have 2 ounces of Indian blood, you can apply for and more than likely be awarded reparations to the tune of having a brand new house built on vacant property that is owned by the city or the state. Those reparations will include financial assistance for education and other benefits. But at the same time, the direct descendants, survivors of this total massacre, cannot get a dime. And they have all of the evidence. It's well known. It's documented. So why the hell do you need an attorney? Why do they have to file a lawsuit? And then they file a lawsuit, and the Oklahoma Supreme Court says that they actually have a right to ask for reparations and compensation, but in their words, the case does not meet the standards that they filed a suit under. So therefore, this particular judge dismissed the case. Now, this case, like I said, was filed in 2020. And one of these survivors is 109 years old. The other one is 102 years old. And I'm not sure of the third one who died after this lawsuit was filed. But that party was also over 100 years. Remember, this violence happened in 1921 in Tulsa. All of Tulsa knows about this case. All of Oklahoma knows about this case. So why do we have to have a lawsuit filed? Why wouldn't the city of Tulsa get together with these survivors and try to determine if there were any other survivors and put together some kind of package of reparations, if you want to call it that, or compensation, or whatever. Certainly, if anybody's ever been entitled to any justice and financial awards, these people do. You won't find a better case than this case. Now, this is the very same Oklahoma that almost every county in the state has an Indian-owned gambling casino. And you know why? Because the United States, a long time ago, declared that these tribes were entitled to sovereign nation status. Okay? Let's to be sure, in other cities, including Kansas and Missouri and others, have tried to prevent these Indian people from different tribes, have tried to prevent them from building casinos because they don't want them to compete with their casinos, because of the fact they can't get any taxes from the Indian-owned casinos because they operate under the status of a sovereign nation. Now, Black people face some of the very same situations that the Indian people did. Their land was stolen. Their businesses were destroyed. They had people that were robbed, beaten, raped, but they can't seem to get any benefits, even when the cases are proven. Reparations in this country, well, they've been talked about and talked about and talked about, and they're still talking. But as far as I know, no black people in this United States have received what I call reparation benefits from the United States government. And like I say, these cases should not have to go before a court of law because most of these cases can be documented. They can be proven. And it is well-known facts that almost anybody, black, white, Indian, whatever, over the age of 10 years old, knows the history of the United States, even though they are trying and have tried to sweep this under the rug and pretend that it didn't happen. Folks, there's an old adage that says you can fool some of the people all of the time, and you can fool all of the people some of the time, but you can never fool all of the people all of the time. Now, let's get a little bit more into this. Over 300 people perished or lost their lives in this mob violent attack in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921. Businesses over a 35-block area were destroyed, left in ruins. Homes in that same area were destroyed. Many people were left homeless. One of the worst single acts of violence against black people in the United States history is how this has been described. There are at least, as far as we know, 2 people today that are living that can attest to the veracity of these claims and attest to and are eyewitnesses to this destruction and racial discriminatory and racial hatred that was launched upon this 35 area, thriving, successful, highly successful business district. So successful that it was deemed Black Wall Street. Matter of fact, for some, it appeared it was too successful. See, when you have hatred amongst white mobs and white supremacists and white nationalists, they don't want to see black folks be successful. And they don't want to see you have any type of wealth that they feel only they are entitled to. So, what makes it even more appalling, ladies and gentlemen, is that the city of Tulsa, nor the insurance companies in 1921, 1922, 1932, 1942, 2022, nor today, 2024, has ever offered to pay these victims or any of the victims one dime for their loss of life, loss of business, loss of homes, loss of material assets, no other losses. How in the hell can the city fathers at Tulsa, Oklahoma, how in the hell can they look themselves in the mirror every day, knowing full well that they got blood the blood of Black people on their hearts. How can you refuse to do the humane thing and act in official capacity to a people that are doing nothing more than trying to live a normal life, going about their daily business, working hard, paying taxes, trying to better their community, and this is what they get? 102 years later, when two living survivors were hoping to see justice while they're living, and this is what they get. Tulsa and the state of Oklahoma should be ashamed of themselves. The mayor, the governor, the city manager of Tulsa, all of you should be ashamed to look into the mirror every morning. You should be ashamed every time that you and your city and your state takes in at least $1 more in profits as you benefit from having this mob destruction that happened on Greenwood rake in profits that you don't dare share with not a single Black person that you derive from having Greenwood now as a tourist attraction in your city. And you're raking in hundreds, if not millions, of dollars from interested, concerned people from other parts of the country who will come to your city and tour the Greenwood district, what's left of it. But you have no shame. You feel no shame. You have no shame. You have no love for your fellow man because of the color of their skin. This judge, while saying and agreeing with the complainants here and the plaintiffs in this lawsuit, that yes, they have a reason to be compensated. They have a reason to seek justice, but we're just not going to give it to them. We give it to everybody else. Like I said, anybody that can prove they have 2 ounces of Indian blood can get reparations in the state of Oklahoma. I've seen it. I've seen new homes occupied by Indians that were provided by the government of Oklahoma. I've seen it all over the state of Oklahoma. And it's called reparations. But no such thing exists in the state of Oklahoma, and in Tulsa in particular, that even reminisces anything similar to or akin to justice for the survivors of one of the most destructive, violent, racist mob incidents in the entire United States history. It is time. These people will probably go to their graves. And I fully hope, that these people will appeal this decision by this judge, because they know all of Oklahoma and all of Tulsa and even the United States Supreme Court know full well what happened in Tulsa in 1921. Now, whether they choose to do anything about it or not is a different story, but they know it, as we all do. It's time to make it right. If for nobody else, make it right for these two people who've lived this tragedy every single day for over 100 years. Make it right, Tulsa. Make it right, Oklahoma. Make it right, some court. Somebody has to stand up for what's right. And don't tell me that because you were not born in 1921, you didn't have anything to do with it. Because as I said, the state of Oklahoma, the city of Tulsa, are still benefiting from that massacre every single day of the year, while these people have to live with the tragedy, the trauma, the drama, and the hateful racism that is being reaped upon them by officials in Oklahoma, in Tulsa, and through the courts. Time is out. It's a proven fact. It's a well-documented fact. It happened. These people didn't do anything to deserve it, didn't ask for it. They were not engaging in any unlawful activities. They were simply doing what any red-blooded American would do, minding their own business, taking care of their business, trying to make a decent living, and thriving while doing it. Make it right, Tulsa. Make it right, Oklahoma. See you next time. Thanks for watching.